Hey guys, it's the Coastal Crusader, and today I'm going to be reviewing what is perhaps one of my most anticipated movies of the year, Monsters University. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying this is a spoiler-free review. I do not want to ruin the movie because there's a lot that you could ruin in this movie. So, if you want to find out spoilers, go look it online or go see the movie, obviously. Don't come to me for spoilers. So, I'm just going to get started with the review here. Now, Monsters, Inc. was a movie that was very dear to my heart. It was one of the first movies I ever saw in theaters as a kid. I remember it fondly. It's one of my favorite animated movies of all time, my favorite Pixar movie of all time, which is saying something because Pixar is famous for their quality. A lot of people saying that Pixar has gone downhill lately with movies like Cars 2 and Brave. I actually enjoyed Brave, so I don't know what they're saying about that. And now Monsters University. Some people are saying it's amazing, some people are saying it's bad. And you want to find out what I thought about it? It was amazing. So, I mean, I can't... I'm gonna jump right in here with the plot. I mean, it's a prequel to the Monsters, Inc. movie. In which it shows the origins basically of stories of all the characters, basically like how they met, and it all centered around this how they met, how they became their archetypes, how they developed, and it's all centered around this university called Monsters University, and that's where they attend so they can learn how to become scarers, right? So it's just all the different characters' stories. You got Mike Wazowski, Sully, you got Randall, you got a few other characters that make some cameos, which I'm not going to get into much, but then you just dump right in there, which is amazing. So, I guess I'll jump right in. It was amazing. Yeah, like I said, it was amazing. I really believe that this was truly, Pixar basically said, listen, we're sorry about Cars 2. We're gonna make you an awesome movie. Brave I thought was really strong, but Pixar obviously didn't see that as their top movie. So like, we gotta redeem ourselves. We gotta bring ourselves out of the ditch. So they're just like, let's make a prequel to a beloved movie. Monsters Inc. When I think about it, it was a fully standalone film. I would not choose that. If I were Pixar, I wouldn't choose that one to jump right. I mean, Incredibles 2 is open for a sequel. They even made a video game sequel without making the movie. I mean, yeah, you have that. You have Monsters, Inc. You have, what else is there? There's a ton of Pixar movies that they can get to make a sequel of. But seriously, Planes. I'll get to that in a different video, but Planes. Okay, so Monsters University. It was wow. I think the whole thing wowed me. It didn't try too hard to live up. The thing is, it didn't try too hard to live up to its predecessor. Obviously, it's not Monsters, Inc., because Monsters, Inc. is a classic, and nobody could really beat the quality that is Monsters, Inc. I'm saying that basically, they knew that Monsters, Inc. was able to carry this emotional weight on viewers, like movies such as Up and WALL-E could do. They have that emotion behind it. They knew that Monsters, Inc. did that perfectly, and they weren't going to go for the emotional route here. They were going to go for a fun college comedy. I said when I was discussing this with a friend that it's a mixture almost of Monsters, Inc. and the movie Revenge of the Nerds, which is one of my favorite comedy movies, by the way. So I thought it was a perfect mixture. It was a fun college comedy, and it wasn't anything more than that, but it was an excellently made college comedy, and that's why I think it stands so strong among the Pixar lineup. And so one thing I saw, one of the highlights, I'd say, is when you got to see Mike as a kid. It was hilarious, and it was like pretty adorable, so that was pretty good. And Sully, I think he went through a lot of development over the course of these two movies, because he started off as a complete douchebag, for lack of a better word. He was an asshole. He was the guy that used to bully kids at school. He was just a complete dick. And Mike basically came in and changed that, and that's how you see the characters complement each other, and it explains how that happened. And Randall, this is my complaint about Randall's character. He's so evil and conniving in Monsters, Inc. He's the main antagonist, I'd say. Him and Warren Anderson are the main antagonists in Monsters, Inc. And in this movie, it's supposed to show how he went down that downward spiral. It doesn't do a good job. So in the major flaws of this movie, I saw Randall was just completely underdeveloped. I mean, no spoilers, but that, if you've seen the movie, you understand what I'm saying. That's why he's evil. I mean, That doesn't make you evil. In fact, that makes you a better person, maybe. And there's like, yeah, I'm gonna hold a grudge. I'm gonna make you evil. Yeah, that's not how it works. You gotta make a character developed, and that's something Pixar fell on there. But they did perfect development of Mike and Sully. They did the perfect way lead up into Monsters Inc. They didn't contradict anything in Monsters Inc. They did there was a lot of cameos from characters. There was a lot of cameos from other characters. No spoilers who they are, but you're gonna see them for like a few seconds at a time. Pixar always has their famous Easter eggs in there, and they have that in this time. One thing about this movie that really stood out was that there's no clear antagonist. Like, there's no villain. I mean, one of the opposing teams in this thing that they have to compete in called the Scare Games. No spoilers. One of the opposing team leaders could be considered an antagonist. The dean of the school, what was her name? Dean Hardscrabble, who was a big bitch, by the way. She could be considered as the antagonist. Randall could even be considered as some form of an antagonist. But there was no direct, and even Sully could be an antagonist. Mike and Sully competing. But there was no direct antagonist, and that's something that Pixar did well, like Brave. The movie Brave. There was no antagonist, but it was still a very strong movie. I think Pixar has finally developed that form of storytelling. It's not a direct... There is a conflict, but there's no conflicting person at the end of the movie. It's almost like more of a psychological conflict, and that's saying something for a kids movie. It basically tried to convey the same moral message as Monsters Inc., but did a completely different approach to it, that everybody has their own different talents that make them unique, and not one person is better than another. They're all equal. So I think Monsters Inc. did that amazingly, but with a more of emotional weight, with the character Boo. Obviously, they couldn't have Boo in this one because it takes place before, and Boo wouldn't even be born yet. But the lack of Boo in this one made this less emotional, but they were still able to make it. It was more of a comedy, this one. That Monsters Inc. was more of a drama, while this was more of a comedy. So, as you can tell, I'm a huge die-hard fan for Monsters Inc. Monsters University did not disappoint. It was by no means a perfect movie. I'd say it definitely doesn't rank up to the ranks of Toy Story 3 and the original Monsters Inc., obviously. But it doesn't fall behind like Cars and Cars 2 did. I think it's more in the middle ground of Pixar, like with movies like WALL-E and Bugs Life and Ratatouille. It's not, and like Up. Well, no, Up I think would be at the top of the list, but other than that, Monsters University is definitely a true fan service to fans of the original, and it's good for new generation too. You don't need to see the first one, obviously, because this is a prequel, and I would definitely recommend this to people of all ages. Fans of the original, I would highly recommend it to children. I would highly recommend it to parents. Are going to enjoy it because it's a typical college movie. If you like movies like Animal House or Revenge of the Nerds, you'll definitely like Monsters University. And I'm not going to say it's a perfect movie right now, but I'll give Monsters University a 9 out of 10. And I would definitely recommend it. I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I'll see you guys next time.